Welcome back. Episode 216 of Chaotically Intolerant. We have a little bit of football today. Sky Moore headed to San Francisco after a suspension. I mean, that team is already falling apart, and we haven't even reached preseason week 3. MLB realignment. We have a great week of baseball, but Rob Manfred coming out and basically saying he's going to continue to ruin baseball until he retires in 2029. But before we get into all of that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Draft America. Go check out Spring Hill Sports Cards, our partners. And let's go. All right, Mike, let's jump to the NFL first. We're gonna get a couple trades out of the way. The 49ers do add Sky Moore from the Kansas City Chiefs. And again, it's not feeling like the 49ers of last year, but it feels like the injury bug is really hitting the wide receiver room more than anything, and just the you're not allowed to play bug as well. I think it was Demarcus Robinson was suspended for PEDs first 3 games. So at least adding a speed threat from Kansas City, that's going to help Brock Purdy a lot. And then New Orleans adds Vele from Denver. But that's pretty much it. I think, this is when they're trying to sort of shape their rosters. A lot of these teams are, get those final finishing touches. Well, finishing, I guess, as good as you can say for some of these teams. But I think the lead story in my head is Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. Daniel Jones was named starter in Indianapolis for week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Anthony Richardson wasn't super thrilled about it. But I'm going to be honest, I just don't care anymore. I've become a little apathetic to the whole situation. I mean, Richardson just can't stay on the field. He played 1 preseason game and he dislocated his pinky. Those things are obviously not in his control, but it's getting to a point where it's like you got to be on the field no matter what. And if you can't stay in a preseason game, you can't make it through a whole drive in a preseason game. Maybe you're just not cut out for the NFL.
I guess not. I mean, from the Colts perspective, I mean, this is just so disappointing. I mean, just you go from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck to now what's like a real mess, and you're taking a chance on Daniel Jones. I don't know what to make of the Colts other than they're in the AFC South, so it's like
you're always in it. You're always in it. That's the good thing.
You're always in it, but that's just not the way you're trying to build your franchise. And there's no way Daniel Jones can be a true long-term answer. This just feels like let's just see if we can buy Richardson like 1 more year to develop, but I don't know. It's not quite like baseball where a guy can suddenly come into his own in like his 30s or something. It's hard. The quarterback position is really hard, and it feels like it's something more. You have to have more of those, born qualities, that football IQ, that toughness, that leadership ability. And I don't know. There's nothing I've seen from Anthony Richardson that tells me he has it.
Besides a few really cool throws. He can throw the ball really fucking far. That's pretty awesome. I think, honestly, I'm not out on Anthony Richardson as a player. I just think they need to just almost cut ties, maybe give him a year, give him this season. Because I can see that the Colts are going to be 1-3 after 4 weeks. And they're going to say, you know what? We're probably not going to do anything this year. Let's just see what Richardson can do. Let's just put him in there and let him run wild. I mean, more than anyone, I have been a staunch critic of Shane Steichen's play calling over the past couple of years, and it's just not. It almost looks like he doesn't know what he's doing with Anthony Richardson. He doesn't. He wants to keep him protected, but he wants him to be able to use his body. But he wants to teach him how to throw the football as a pocket. Like he wants to be just an average passer. Well, if you're just going to have him run all the time, he's not going to get the reps as a passer. So it's a difficult balance, and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm going to I would do a better job than Shane Steichen. I don't know if I would, but I think I would at least try and develop the passer because he can run the football. And you know that I think that's something you can teach a lot easier than being a good quarterback. Like throwing the football is a lot harder, and throwing it accurately is a lot harder. Um, Again, let's say Anthony Richardson gets cut at the end of this season. I'm not going to sit here and say, man, I really regret taking him with that pick that in that draft. I mean, you look at that. Number one, you look at that draft. It's not like you were getting anyone much better. Of the quarterbacks available at that time period, you're not getting anyone much better. The only other guy out there was C.J. Stroud, and you have Bryce Young. I wouldn't have seen the Colts trading up for either one of those guys. So I'm still happy that they took a shot on a guy. That was my number one thing. They had not taken a shot since Andrew Luck's retirement. They had not tried to go and a crazy thing would say just go and trade up for the number one pick in the Burrow year and go and get Joe Burrow. I mean, that would have been crazy. You would have had to mortgage your future for that. But they just weren't taking a chance. They did the Brissett thing in 19. You don't blame them for that. And then in 20, they go with Phillip Rivers, then Carson Wentz, then Matt Ryan. And it was the cycle, and it was we're not really going to commit to anyone, but we're going to try and win football games anyways. And that just wasn't fun. It felt half-hearted. It felt, they would sit there and say, we're really excited about this guy coming in and maybe teaching this team how to win. And it just never happened. So them taking a chance on a quarterback and taking a chance to develop a guy, I'm perfectly fine with that. I just think they went at it the wrong way. And I think Anthony Richardson, I still think he could succeed. I would love to see him go to a place maybe like Minnesota with a quarterback, like a true quarterback whisperer. I hate using that term. And a Kevin O'Connell or a Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. I mean, Brock Purdy is not a guarantee whatsoever in San Francisco. And I mean, you could have Anthony Richardson for pretty damn cheap and just have him sit there for a year and learn under a Kyle Shanahan and even a guy like Brock Purdy, who is experienced, or Kevin O'Connell. I think there's numerous spots that you could see Anthony Richardson succeed. I just don't think it's Indianapolis anymore. I think he's unhappy. I think he is a young kid. He's a kid that's, he's my age. So he's immature at times, and I can be immature at times as well. So I think he just needs a change of scenery more than anything. And at this point, maybe the Colts just let him ball out for the rest of the season and say either play the rest of the year. Let's say it's a bad start. This is all hypothetical. I could also see Daniel Jones being the one to break the week one curse for the Colts. I think it's been 10 years since we've won a week one game. Doing it against a Miami Dolphin team with Daniel Jones, that would be perfect. That would just be cinema. Martin Scorsese meme cinema. If Daniel Jones breaks that curse, but it sucks. It really sucks. I don't think there's really much to be excited about with this Colts team besides a Tyler Warren. Maybe seeing the defense, seeing the secondary. I think the Colts defense is actually going to be competent at least this year. So I am kind of excited to see that. But this is just a really low note to enter a season on. Very, very low. So I figured that should be addressed at the top of the show. And let's go into let's move into another football topic. I want to do our three most interesting teams of 2025. We're going to do a combination list, so we're just going to discuss maybe teams we find interesting. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, I think he's gotten into at least one fight as head coach. He's gotten into a fight with players on the field. He's just that type of guy. He wants that energy. And it's the New England Patriots. Drake May out there. It's year 2. He really showed some competency. He showed what it's like being a quarterback. I think we were a little nervous about him coming out of college, but this Patriots team is not going to be a pushover whatsoever, I think, in this AFC East, and they're going to battle. And I'm really curious to see what they're going to do all year and how they're going to respond.
Yeah, I love when teams are able to they're not necessarily aiming just to fix the talent discrepancy, they're aiming to really change the culture. And I think that's what Dan Campbell did in Detroit. And I think Mike Vrabel actually already has a proven track record of doing that with Tennessee. I really like that. I think more teams should sort of look at things that way. You obviously always want to have talent. You got to have good players to win, but you can have good players and still not be winning. So you need the focus should always be someone who can hold players accountable, whose teams are always going to play hard. So I'm with you on that. I'm going to say one for me is the Denver Broncos, because they took a step forward last year. Obviously, they made their first postseason appearance in 9 years since they won Super Bowl 50. And now you're going into a year where people expect that division to be pretty good. I mean, the Chiefs have won it every year since the Broncos won Super Bowl 50. The Chargers are always kind of a darling team. You know, they're going to hang around. And the Raiders have a fair amount of offensive talent to offer. And so this is year 2 for Bo Nix, and I think he exceeded expectations in year 1. And they're kind of a team that, I wouldn't say nobody's talking about them, but people aren't really sure what to make of them as far as, are they really true contenders? Can they push to win an AFC title or at least unseat the Chiefs in the AFC West? Interesting that we mentioned Vele, that they were able to have that leverage, drive that trade price up and pick up a couple of draft picks. And we generally trust Sean Payton, for the most part. I think he's has a pretty good track record. So I want to see how Denver comes out of the gates, how they really stack up with the rest of that division, and whether they're kind of that classic team that's got to take a step back before they take 2 steps forward, or are they really a team that's on the rise?
All right, I'm going to give you a few different teams, and we're going to decide which is the most interesting out of this. Cleveland is one of I think the past few years especially, they've been very interesting, but they might carry 4 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. 4 quarterbacks. While I'm in the AFC North, people might say, well, what about the Steelers? I don't care about Aaron Rodgers. I don't. I have had enough. It's enough.
Yeah.
It means nothing to me. The West, I think when you mentioned Denver, I'm almost nervous that it's just another fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me 3 times. It's just the fucking Kansas City Chiefs. That's what I get nervous about. Whenever we talk about any of these other teams in the West, are the Denver Broncos the ones to do it? But it's just the Chiefs, and I'm not convinced any other way. I'm looking at Chicago, Ben Johnson. They're saying this is maybe the best Bears team in a long time. He's actually bringing accountability is what I'm hearing, which feels like that should just be what happens on football teams and just over in any workplace in general, having accountability. So that's kind of concerning that there wasn't all that much accountability in Chicago for a long time. And then I'm going to say Carolina as well. Carolina is really interesting. I mean, we obviously saw them kind of have a surge at the end of last year, and Bryce Young maybe, showing up a little bit more, showing his abilities a little bit more, silencing the haters. I think I'm almost excited to see Carolina. I'm actually really excited to see what they can do this year, especially in a South with a team like Tampa Bay, who is heavily favored to win. And then New Orleans and Atlanta, I mean, we really don't know what we're going to get from Michael Penis Jr. Let's not forget about that newscast. You got to make sure the X is in there, not the S. It's got to be the X. I don't know if you saw that. There was a newscast in Atlanta that named him Michael Penis Jr. So,
well, I don't know. I know that Michael Penis Jr. succeeds Michael Dick, who used to be a great quarterback back in early 2000s. Who was also a lefty.
So out of Carolina, Chicago, and Cleveland, who do you think is the most interesting there?
I think for me, it's Chicago, because you have the number 1 pick of a year ago. You have a new coach coming from Detroit, a place where he saw this transformation in culture. Who worked for a coach who brought a lot of accountability, who was a coach that players wanted to run through a wall for. So we know he's a very innovative mind. So we know that the Bears were getting somebody who could just by X's and O's give Caleb Williams a chance. They invested in their offensive line. I think the talent is there for them to push for a division title, because I think the Lions and Vikings just inevitably have to take a step back. And they won 29 games combined last year. That's not going to happen again. I mean, Green Bay's always pretty good, and wouldn't shock me if they won. But the Bears, year two, when you have that okay, like rookie year, bumps in the road, they had the 10-game losing streak, although they finally beat Green Bay at the end, which was kind of a big deal. Maybe that's a momentum thing. I think there's just so many eyes on Caleb Williams here, and I think it's a year where, again, there's no way that division is going to be. I mean, what was it? Those three teams combined, I think, for 40 wins last year. The other three teams. I mean, literally, like, the other teams averaged over 13 wins. So I think the law of averages will sort of, bring that gap down quite a bit. So yeah, and I agree. I think the Panthers are a worthwhile team to keep an eye on, but I'm just fascinated to see if the Bears do take a significant step forward here.
One stat that I did see, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, Brett Favre won his first Super Bowl at 27. Aaron Rodgers won his first Super Bowl at 27. Jordan Love turns 27 quite soon. So maybe it is the Packers. Maybe it is. And they just rule the North because they have for so long. And then the last thing that's going to help us transition into our lead MLB topic. Apparently, the British ambassador of the United States wants there to be a Super Bowl in London. I'm pretty sure we fought a war and like a few wars to make sure that never happened. That sounds like the most ridiculous thing ever. Again, we've said it so many times. I don't care about the internationalization of the NFL. It is the National Football League. It is, it's an American sport. I'm sorry. Baseball, do it. All the other sports, do it. The NFL, I mean, we're the only ones who really, truly, truly give a shit about football and actively play football. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a Super Bowl played at 4 p.m. local time. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't, Super Bowl at 4 p.m. local time, huh?
Maybe it might even be earlier. If I don't even know. I think London's like 8 hours ahead, so they would have to play at midnight over there.
Yeah, that better not happen. I mean, it was kind of interesting to watch the Super Bowl on the West Coast with the 3:00 start time, but to me, it's a Sunday night game.
It has
it's
to
a
be
special,
and it's. Yeah. I mean, it is literally our Super Bowl. Like, you want to say it is our Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is America's Super Bowl. Should be a national holiday. I feel, or the Monday after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday for us Americans, but sadly it's not yet. Yet we know Roger Goodell is going to be pulling those strings. He's always pulling those strings. And then just a geographical kind of discussion here is going to lead into our MLB topic. Rob Manfred wants to add 2 more teams, making 32 teams in Major League Baseball and realigning the divisions, basically possibly taking away the American League and National League, which is blasphemous. That is blasphemous. I think the American League and National League is, I mean, it's almost synonymous with baseball. It sounds ridiculous to take that away.
To have East versus West. Yeah, no, it's terrifying to read this. And I mean, we can't get this guy out of here soon enough. I mean, he's just damaged this game more than anyone in history in his position. And I pray that doesn't happen. I mean, I'm not specifically against expansion per se, although, yeah. I mean,
I'm not against it. It's bound to happen, I think.
Yeah, and 32 teams, football makes it work, but still, I think you could keep the AL, NL, even if you split it into 4 divisions. I'd be okay with even that, idea, and just going to 4 division winners, 2 wild cards. But they want to expand the postseason to 16 teams. They just want to become basketball and hockey. They want to go away from, it's Southwest Airlines getting rid of assigned seating. It's just, it's ending things that people have loved for so long to make a few bucks, because that's kind of what our culture is driven by. So it's a real shame. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope baseball, I think if the fan backlash is as strong as it was, the way it was with that golden rule idea, hopefully Manfred will back off. He can go in Alcoholics Anonymous, get the help he needs, because this is just getting out of control.
He's got to be drunk when he's talking about this. Like, getting rid of the American League and National League. Come on.
Yeah, putting the Mets and Yankees in the same division. I mean, come on.
Oh, it would be Mets, Yankees, like Red Sox, Phillies, and that division would be the only division that is ever talked about across all of like major media.
Yeah,
They would
no,
ESPN would not stop talking about it. They would be creaming their pants over that specific division.
yeah,
I saw a really funny one. People were doing kind of mock realignment, and they did like the worst one possible. So you do like the former New York teams, or like former and current New York. So do Dodgers, Giants, Mets, Yankees. And then there was another one like the four corners, do like the Marlins, the Mariners, shit, maybe the Red Sox and someone else like the Diamondbacks or something. Just the most travel possible for a division. I can understand the wanting to cut down on travel just because I mean you see teams like the Seattle Mariners and they travel exponentially more
well,
than.
then go back to having 19 division games instead of having every team play every team. It's ridiculous and it's counterproductive, counterintuitive, I should say.
Well, and I think there has been some correlation between that and World Series ratings dropping, All-Star game ratings dropping. I mean, there was a specialty, there was a kind of glitter almost on those interleague series that you would get 2 to 3 times a year, at least in my nostalgia, of 2 to 3 times a year. Like the Red Sox and Nationals would always play. I feel like the Red Sox and Phillies would always play, and then there would be a rotation. Red Sox Braves, of course. Sorry. But then there would be a rotation of like the third series that they would get, and that was it. That's all you got. And I know there back, even further back, there was only one series a year. And then before that, they didn't even have it. And it was just the World Series was that like great meeting of teams. And this like kind of overruling by Major League Baseball kind of took away the glimmer of it, as rules started to change and baseball said, you guys need to change your rules to match up with each other. Like the DH rule and no DH, and I hear people say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would one league have a DH and one wouldn't? And it's like, I don't know. It's a fucking game. Not everything has to make complete and utter sense in games. Sometimes it's just fun. Sometimes that's just like a part of the strategy and the coolness of it. But, again, like you said, everything to make a buck, right?
It's might be really pushing a lot of people away from baseball. They talk about younger viewers, but it's not gonna bring them in. It's just to make a few extra bucks.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, let's go to our awards. I'm gonna start with my team of the week. This is one more just because I just really want to honor this team for being so bad, but just having a nice little stretch here. And I'm going with the Colorado Rockies. Take 2 of the first 3 from the LA Dodgers. They take 3 of 4 from Arizona. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they are trying to make sure that they will not set that record. We will not have back-to-back worst teams of all time.
Yeah, though they're clearly getting away from that. They actually, if I'm not mistaken, they have a better second half record than the Dodgers. They actually do. I think the Dodgers are 16-23 in their last 39 games. Rockies are playing well in the second half. They are. It's amazing how this happens. Now their 9-50 start in part was because they were playing basically all good teams along the way. They started to get a softer schedule. They started winning games. It's just inevitable. You start bringing guys up, and then you look, and it's like right now the Rockies are better than the Rays and the Cardinals, and these middling teams that are starting to the Twins. You look and say, oh, their record is a lot better than the Rockies, but they're not. They're not. The Rockies are actually on the rise. They're becoming, they're rounding into form. A lot of young guys who want to prove something. These other teams have just torn it down. They're going in the wrong direction. And that's the kind of the craziness of baseball when you play this many games. But yeah, I mean, the Rockies. Since the start of August, they're actually 11-10. So they have a winning record this month alone, anyway.
Hell yeah, baby!
Good for them. Good for them. Really?
Definitely. What about your team of the week?
Well, I'm not giving it to the Yankees. I don't care if they're 8-2 and hitting home runs because they like to flex their muscles.
It's the Rays. They're playing at their own spring training
Cardinals
facility.
The Rays,
come on.
Yeah. Well, the Yankees, I think they said they scored 19 runs all by home runs. That is so unsustainable. They love to puff their chest. They have no guts. They will fold in the postseason. They are not built to win. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if they win the next 20 games in a row. I can't wait for year 16 dancing on their grave. But anyway, I'm going. My team of the week has also won 8 of 10, and it's the Tigers. Looks like they got that bad stretch out of the way. They're pulling away again in the division, which we kind of, we see this a lot. Teams kind of lose their footing, they regain it. They were down to like 5 games. I think it went from like 15 to 5. Now they're back to 10 games up on Kansas City, who's playing better. But it looks like the Tigers are starting to round in form. They're hitting again. I like the Charlie Morton addition. I'm very happy he's pitching well. Kyle Finnegan's been a great addition. I still have my doubts about the offense, about whether they can get enough or have that one guy that can carry them. But they have turned it around. They just demolished the Astros. Their pitching shut them down over those 3 games, the same way the Orioles did. Speaking of teams whose graves we hope to dance on at some point in early October, if not sooner. But I think it's the Tigers. I think they're starting to position themselves again as perhaps the best team in the American League.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that was going to be, if I didn't go with the Rockies just because of this nice little stretch, I was going to go with Detroit. They've turned it around. I'm going to go my player of the week, going Trey Turner.
Yeah.
He's batting .588. One home run, but 7 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 20 hits in total. He's got a .794 slug percentage, a .1405 OPS. I want to look at their last few games again. I think Philly has been kind of pulling away a little bit more. They're taking advantage of this kind of, again, this like really bad stretch. All right, 4 straight wins for the Phillies. And the Mets, they just keep falling. They just keep letting Philly pull away, and I think they can just feel that East division just slipping from their fingers.
Yeah. Well, the Phillies again, they've been a little bit streaky, but man, if Trey Turner's going, because he hits, he gets on base, he scores runs, he's got so much speed. I mean, we know the Phillies are a very dangerous team, and Turner turned in a 5-hit game yesterday, which it's a scary thought. It is a scary thought that the Phillies, with a healthy and effective Trey Turner, because he'd gone through a decent bit of a slump as of late. So he seems to be going good right now. And I would say keep an eye on the Phillies for sure. I'm going to give mine to a guy that has pitched really well since he's returned from the IL, and that's Hunter Green. And you think about the Reds and their playoff push right now and how critical Hunter Green is. In his 2 starts since coming off the IL, he's pitched 12 1/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 18 strikeouts, and how about this? Not a single walk. So commanding the zone, giving this team depth, being potentially that dominant Cy Young caliber pitcher. He's looked every bit the part since coming back. He shut the Phillies down completely, talking about the Phillies, and then had a great start against the Angels. So I'm going to give it to Hunter Green, and I'm going to say that the Reds, they're, as you like to say, they're frisky, and with the Mets going in the wrong direction, they are not going to back down in this wild card chase.
Yeah, I forgot where they at right now. They are a game back of the Mets right now for that.
Yeah.
For that 3rd wild card spot. So it's anyone's spot at this point. My bum ass team of the week, I'm going with the Guards. Falling behind the Kansas City Royals in the wild card race now, swept by the Braves, and they lost 2 or 3 to the D-backs. I mean, the Braves they're surging right now. Probably a little too late. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but I mean, those are 2 teams. Like, if you're going to survive, if you're at this point in the season, you have to be winning those games. You at least have to be winning those series. And if you can't do that, you're not a playoff team. You're not a playoff caliber team. They're now 3 games back of a slumping Red Sox and Mariners team as well. So this was the opportunity for them to maybe, get a little closer, at least just get within like real striking distance, and they just can't take advantage of it. This was the perfect time, and they fail.
Yeah. Yeah, hard to disagree there. As much as I want to pick the Mariners as my bum ass team of the week, because, well, we get so used to saying that in the months of August and September, really fell flat here with 5 straight losses. I'm going to give it to the Giants because this is a team that had so much promise early on. They had a 7-game losing streak. They've now lost 9 of 11. In those 9 losses, they've scored a total of 14 runs. I have a friend who's a Giants fan, told me early on, he said, if this team does not go back and go out and get some offensive talent, they're gonna basically come undone in the second half, and that's exactly what's happened. They've completely not only fallen out of the NL West race, that in itself is not surprising, but they sit 6.5 games out of the wild card now. Behind, you got 3 other teams to leapfrog. It's been a rough go for the Giants, and they are one of the lowest scoring teams in all of the National League. In fact, only 2 teams have scored fewer runs, the Pirates and the Rockies. That's not company that you want to have. So incredibly disappointing for the Giants as they're now 61 and 66. And again, losers of 9 of their last 11 games.
It's all Devers.
It could be, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but yeah, it very well could be. I'm going to go with my bum ass player of the week, the big superstar, most likely will be $1 billion athlete, Shohei Ohtani. Last 2 starts, he's got losses to the Angels and the Rockies. Last night, he did take a liner off his thigh, but he's got 9 earned runs in his last 2 starts, 10 strikeouts, 14 hits. And of course, the Dodgers are 4-6 in their last 10. So that kind of big fear that we had of, oh man, once Ohtani's healthy, it's, as a pitcher when he's healthy, he's going to be a real problem. Well, maybe we got lucky. Maybe we got a little luckier that we're not going to have to deal with this guy on both sides of the field, essentially. So I'm going with Shohei. I think that might be the only time that will ever happen in his career.
Quite possibly. I don't want to get any hate from Yankee people because we're ignoring Giancarlo Stanton, but I just don't care. I'm just not giving it to someone who's beating up on all these bad teams. They know he's had a good week.
I mean, they hit, like, they're boasting about, 14 home runs in 2 games at their own spring training facility.
Yeah. They're playing 2 teams. Again, you can say, well, the Cardinals, the Rays, they have decent records. They played the Twins before that. Those teams are all much worse than their records right now because of the way they sort of approach the deadline. The Rays are just, flush with injuries too.
They have not played a road game against the Rays. They have not played. I refuse to.
Well, and they won't.
Yeah, they won't play a road game against the Rays
unless they get relocated to, I don't know, California or something. But
even the fans, it's not a road game. It's still probably still more Yankee fans there.
I don't care. I don't care if the Yankees are the highest scoring team in the league. This is just puffing your chest, picking on the little guy, that I'll pick on someone your own size kind of thing. They get the Red Sox this weekend. It's a huge series. I just pray the Red Sox can at least split, just hold serve. I just don't want to see Toronto collapse. It would be such a crying shame if somehow this Yankee team.
It would be awesome if they collapsed and the Red Sox took over.
If the Jays collapse. If the Jays, that would be tragic because this team's had an amazing year. You know how much it means to Toronto. You know how Yankee fans don't even get me started. But anyway, I didn't want to go off on the tangent. My bum ass player of the week, and this is admittedly a very unfair one because of the news that came out. I had to say Kyle Tucker, who's 2 for his last 25, but it came out that he'd been playing with a broken finger. And remember last year he had the misdiagnosed leg injury that turned out to be a fractured shin, I think. And so poor guy's trying to play through it. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where do you blame the player or do you blame the team? If a player knows he has an injury and he knows he's going to be ineffective, does he take himself out? Does the team step in and say, we can't have you out there? Well, now they're doing that. Tucker's been sitting the last few days, clearly just not himself, watching his at-bats, uncomfortable, timing's off. He's frustrated. He's a guy that doesn't normally show a lot of emotion, but I'm sure given what he went through last year, he's a free agent at the end of this year. He wants to make a good impression. And the Cubs are in a very precarious spot right now, trying to survive in the division. But when you're that good and you're 2 for your last 25, whether it's the injury or whether it's stubbornness or whether it's just you've lost something, the Cubs can't afford that. They really can't afford that.
No, and I think he is going to be sitting the next few days.
He is.
That was released. My surprise player of the week, you mentioned him earlier, of the Detroit Tigers, I'm going with 41-year-old Charlie Morton.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
2 wins versus Minnesota, but the big one was Houston. 2 earned runs, 150 ERA, .92 WHIP. He's got 5 hits and 12 innings pitched. Just that is the guy that you point to if he can just if he can. He doesn't even have to be that good down the stretch and into October, but if you can just get quality starts from a guy like Charlie Morton, that is who you point to and say he turned the tide for us this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'm so happy. Maybe Charlie Morton has this thing where he wins a World Series ring every 4 years. 2017 Astros, 2021 Braves. Maybe he gets another one and calls it a career here in 2025 if he could win one with AJ Hinch again. Love to see it. I'm going to give mine. I got to give some love to the Orioles. They're playing better. You really could give it to just about anyone in the rotation. Brandon Young has a near perfect game. Of course, it's Ramon Arias who breaks it up, the ex-Oriole, with a dribbler to the mound. That was one amazing start for Brandon Young to get his first career win. But I'm going with Dean Kramer, who at times this year has looked fantastic. His last 2 starts, he's given up 1 run over 15 innings. I mean, heck, I could have picked him over Hunter Green. 1 run, 8 hits, 13 strikeouts, and just 2 walks over 15 innings. The Orioles, for as awful as their starting pitching was at the beginning of the year, has been phenomenal of late. We know what Trevor Rogers has done. Brandon Young with the near perfect game. Dean Kramer. We saw Cade Povich even come out of the bullpen as a post opener. 10 strikeouts in 5 innings. Like all of a sudden, in a time when their bullpen's in shambles, they just heard Felix Bautista is going to be out well into next year again, which is just a travesty. The starting pitching in general of the Orioles has been my surprise player or surprise group. The way they have just turned this thing around, and I don't want to say, they're a force to be reckoned with.
They're not out of it. I don't think they're out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody, myself included, is expecting them to realistically make any kind of run.
You're 8 games out. You have Seattle sitting there. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 5 straight. You have a couple good weeks going into September. You could put yourself in striking distance.
Yeah, Sugano's pitched well too. No one's expecting it. I think just the hole they dug for themselves early in the year is just going to be too much. But would love to see them continue to play well. They may have Kyle Bradish back, and you think about how the rotation could shape up next year if they could ever get Grayson Rodriguez healthy. If they could ever get Tyler Wells healthy, they'll actually, dare I say, I don't want to say they'll be flush with starting pitching, but they'll have some depth there. And this is a good sign just to see them pitching well. And Kramer in particular, at times this year has looked so good. Other times, kind of a mid-rotation kind of guy, but he's pitched really well.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the weekend, and then we will get out of here. Let's start. I mean, let's go Red Sox Yankees tonight on Fox. It's a 4-game set in the Bronx. Also, weird. I always find it weird when there's like 2-game sets in the division. Red Sox and Orioles had a 2-game set this past week. Just bizarre, right?
Yankees and Rays did too. Yeah.
Doesn't make much sense. But Red Sox Yankees in the Bronx on Prime Video on Thursday night. Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, it's a huge series now. We know the Yankees are
Friday night. I'm sorry. Fox tonight.
Yeah, you know that the Yankees and Red Sox have kind of gone back a little bit in opposite directions, but this is such a tight race right now between those two teams, and now even with Toronto, Yankees are 1-5 against the Red Sox. My fear is the law of averages may catch up a little bit. Like I said, I think for the Red Sox, if you can get out of there with a split and kind of just move on from there. The problem is the Yankees' schedule is very soft coming up. They've got the Nationals and the White Sox next week. They also have the White Sox again, the second to last series of the year. We need the Yankees to kind of go full Yankees and start to, just collapse, get in their own head. So this is a huge, huge moment for the Red Sox because they've kind of come all the way back. They made up this ground. They had this great surge. And now, they're still in good position for the most part, but they're looking down, and like Kansas City's only 3 games back of them. That's another team that has been hot of late, won 5 in a row until yesterday. So they got to get good starting pitching. Keep the Yankees in the ballpark. You keep the Yankees in the ballpark, you're going to win most games. Really. That's all they have. They hit homers, but make them make errors. The Red Sox are good at being aggressive on the base paths. The Yankees are stupid and throw the ball around. Take advantage of that if you're the Red Sox. Scrap and claw the way they've done. I hope they can get it done. I hope they can at least hold serve this weekend.
I feel a lot of juice coming from Bregman. Bregman, first series in the Bronx as a Red Sox.
Yeah.
I think he could be that piece that can, I mean, again, coming out of this Orioles series, you lose both games. I'm sure that's a bit of a confidence, knocks you down a little bit. But this team has been a team where when they get knocked down, they get back up. They get back up a lot. They've been doing that all year. So this is the time to get back up. This is it, really.
Yeah. The Sox had a tough one against the Marlins on Sunday. They had to use Chapman for like 3 pitches on Saturday and somehow decided not to use him on Sunday, which to me seems so foolish. That cost them. They obviously had a chance against the Orioles. I would say the Yankees, this might be the game to catch them. They're coming off a road trip. They're coming off an extra inning game yesterday. They're flexing their muscles. They're going to cool off. I think this is tonight's game is like the key to the whole series. If the Sox can get this one, I think they breathe a little easier. They don't. You're suddenly like, oh, we got to win 2 out of the next 3. Like, this is a big one tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Rockies, Pirates. Oh, I'm excited
gave us the
for
game
this
of the
one.
year. They gave us the game of the year a couple weeks ago, 17-16. Man, I mean, Pirates playing better too. They just took 2 or 3 from the Jays. Rockies, at worst, will split 4 against the Dodgers. I mean, who would have thought we might actually be entertained by this series? I mean, there's nothing else really at stake other than the Rockies just trying to keep pushing. I think they're going to get to 50 wins, which is crazy. I wanted them to have fewer than the Orioles. I wanted the Orioles now to have only the 4th worst season in 162 games when they won 47 games in 2018, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I think that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be tough to make it happen. Nationals, Phillies. Phillies, again, just a win. That's all you should be doing.
I had a chance to. I was actually at the game Saturday. I saw the Nats shut the Phillies out. They actually split 4 games from them. I wouldn't say by any means the Nats are playing well, though they did beat the Mets last night. They're leveling out a little bit. Dylan Cruz is back. They dumped Nathaniel Lowe, who hit a game-tying homer against the Orioles. Yeah, I mean, the Phillies are red hot right now. You just never know with division games. I mean, that's what we're seeing with the Rockies and the Dodgers. So if nothing else, and that's going there, just keep punching back. Hope you can get a game in that series.
I actually could almost see like the Nats winning this series, but the Mets losing the series to the Braves just because it's the Braves and the Mets. And that's like the consolation prize for the Braves is that they can keep knocking the Mets down.
Right. The Mets, I don't know what it is exactly, but they have a great record against the Braves this year.
And that's exactly why they're going to lose the series. And they're going to like miss on an opportunity to maybe pick up a game or 2 on Philly. It's the Mets. Right. We know.
Yeah. Law of averages, though. Maybe it does. Maybe this is the weekend finally because they're 3-7 against the Braves this year. So
yeah. Astros, Orioles.
I mean, this is the time to get the Astros. What have they scored? Like 2 runs in their last 4 games. They were also shut out. They had the 5-4 win the Astros did on that Saturday, but they were shut out before that by Brandon Young. Orioles are playing well. Astros are not. Let's keep it going. And that AL West, I mean, I did some math yesterday, and not that the Astros wouldn't have probably made the playoffs in all of those years. Their division stinks. The rest of the division combined since the Astros started their run, Rangers have 1 playoff appearance, which did result in a World Series win. Mariners have 1 playoff appearance, which resulted in a wild card series win and then getting swept by the Astros in the division series. Angels have not made the playoffs. A's made the wild card in 18 and 19. They won the division in the shortened year, which we don't count. No resistance in that division. The Astros have played like this and they're still in first place. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, the Orioles as well. Like I said, you're not out of it yet. Don't just lie down and die here. This could be a moment, maybe just to say, hey, we're still in this thing. Like we're still here. Don't forget about us. I know we're at the bottom, but we're 8 games out in mid to late August. It's possible. It's still possible. And if you can go in and win a series against the Astros, that's going to make people look. People are going to maybe have a look at the Orioles and say, all right, it's not over yet. Royals Tigers, a big one here.
Royals, they do this, like you said, they're always just good enough to make you believe, but you just don't feel like they're actually good enough. And yet they're 2.5 games back of the Mariners for the wild card spot. They're not going to win the division, but this is their moment to see if they can really match up with the big teams. And like I said, the Tigers are starting to ascend a little bit. They've now given themselves a 6-game cushion for a first round bye, in addition to that 10-game division lead. So we'll see. I mean, the Royals are starting to hit now, and the Tigers' offense is going. So these are two teams that seemingly rely too much on pitching, but I want to see how many runs actually are scored between these two teams.
Yeah. Blue Jays Marlins.
Tough spot for the Jays. They just lost 2 or 3 to the Pirates. Now you get a frisky Marlins team that's, I mean, they're out of it now, 60-67, but they can give you problems. They can. And this is where I wonder, whenever the Jays start to slump, like, can their rotation hold it down? I mean, they had a good pitching performance yesterday from Bassett. They lost 2-1, but again, I'm always wondering if this Blue Jays offense is prone to being shut down at any moment. They're too power happy. Vlad's got a tight hamstring. Is that gonna hurt his production? So dicey weekend for the Jays. Yeah. Hopefully they can catch themselves here before they start to slide.
Yeah. I think kind of the same. We already talked a little bit about this team, but Mets Braves. I think you can say that a little bit because, I mean, the Mets need to catch themselves at some point.
Yeah, they'd won 3 in a row after that 2-12 or whatever, and then lost last night. I still don't know how much I believe. It's just a matter of, can they hang on to that last wild card spot. They're not winning the division, I don't think, and I don't think any of the other NL teams are catching them. It's like you said, it's really just down to them and the Reds for that final wild card spot. And for the Braves, look, they're never a team you can take too lightly. They're having a rough year, but they are 8-2 in their last 10. They've given the Mets problems, 7-3. Like, this is that series where I think you're right. If the Phillies do beat the Nats the way they're supposed to, and the Mets lose this series, I mean, you could pretty much just wave the white flag on the division, and you're just trying to survive for that wild card spot.
Yeah. Cardinals, Rays. Good Jersey matchup here.
Yeah, but battle of the two teams that just gave the Yankees 5 wins in a row. So screw that. Yeah,
I hope they both lose.
Well, certainly both deserve to. Yeah, Cardinals. Again, look at the 63-65 record. You're like, oh, Cardinals are decent, but they're just a worse team than they were in the first half. The Rays, wheels totally fell off for them. Remember, they were like in it. They were almost in first place in like June. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. It's two teams just trending down.
Middling teams. That's all it is. Nothing
middling, getting worse. Yep.
Twins, White Sox. Pretty much same thing. A middling team and a bad team.
Yeah, I mean, the Sox for like a minute were playing better. Twins are just the Twins. Yeah, you have the third worst team in the league. Who, although the A's are about to pass them, the A's have a chance to sweep today. They're moving up. Twins moving way down. Yeah, ugly series. Nothing here.
Guardians, Rangers.
Two teams that we said the Royals are 2.5 back. And you got Cleveland 3 back, Texas 5 back. We know Texas still by a lot has given up the fewest runs in the American League or in all of baseball. They have a plus 49 run differential. Cleveland has somehow kind of kept afloat here after losing Clase and some of the distractions with that betting stuff. It's kind of a survival series, isn't it, for these teams? I mean, if there's any push in them, it starts now.
Yeah. Giants, Brewers.
Yeah, well, you predicted that the Brewers were going to win the first game of the series and then lose the next 4, and so far you're right on track. This was so inevitable. I mean, it's just there's a rule in the Constitution somewhere that says if you win a lot of games, you're going to have to lose a bunch. It's just how many will you lose? Will the Brewers come home with let me see, what is it? Will the Brewers come home with a 5-game lead and starting to feel the collar tighten, or will they push it back to 7 tonight? It's a really big question mark. Giants playing horribly. So even if you come home losing 4 straight, you got to turn it back around. Brewers had not lost 3 straight since early May. So they've got a little, I don't want to call it adversity just yet, but this is when you got to catch yourself. Because if you lose this, then you're starting to think about a much longer stretch of bad baseball.
Yeah, and the next series, Cubs Angels. I mean, the Brewers are going to be watching that very closely, and especially if you lose tonight and it goes down to 5. Well, then you're looking at
Right.
a middling Angels team against a Cubs team suddenly with a lot of momentum. And this would be the perfect series to carry that momentum.
Yeah, and for the Cubs, the schedule is pretty soft. They got the Angels for three. These are on the road, but Angels for three, Giants for three, Rockies for three. I know we're saying the Rockies are playing better, but no excuse. Then they get the Braves, Nationals, Braves, Rays, Pirates at home, or not all at home, but sorry, on their schedule. Then that leads up to a final stretch against Cincinnati, the Mets, and St. Louis. So a very soft schedule for the Cubs, which bodes well, at least as far as them hanging on to a playoff spot, which I don't know that I ever doubted it. But, you start factoring that in and thinking about, because that's a big deal. I mean, said the same thing with the Yankees, too, where their schedule's pretty soft coming up. For the Brewers, I mean, they have, after this, they have Arizona for 4, but then they're off to Toronto for 3. They've got the Phillies in town for 3, then Pirates, Rangers, Cardinals, Angels, Cardinals. But their last week of the season is San Diego, Cincinnati. So advantage Cubs schedule wise. That's why I think today's game, which is about to start as we speak, is huge for the Brewers. As we said before, they had to go into Chicago, at least just get 2 games. To only shave 1 off the standings over 5 games, I think, is a huge win. But if the Cubs win, the Cubs have cut 3 games off that division lead.
Yeah. Another team we're looking real close at, Reds and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, hard to really know what to make of the Diamondbacks at this point with all the moves they made. They're never a pushover, it seems like. This is a big stretch coming up for the Reds because after this, they go to Dodger Stadium for 3 games. So they got to play LA. They come home. They've got St. Louis, Toronto, and the Mets. And they've got the Padres, Cubs, Brewers are still left on the schedule. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Pretty cliche, but win the games you're supposed to win at this point in the season, and hopefully just level yourself out in those other games.
Yeah. A big one here, Dodgers, Padres. Dodgers have reclaimed the West. I think when we recorded last week, the Dodgers were a game or a game and a half behind San Diego, but they have reclaimed it. They are sitting a game ahead right now. So big series right now.
Padres have lost 10 of their last 12 to the Dodgers. We always thought of the Padres as a team that stood up to the Dodgers, that played their best baseball when they were facing LA. They had a 2-1 lead last year in the division series. Then they got shut out 2 games in a row, and it has just completely carried over into this year where they've lost 8 of the 10 matchups. So the tiebreak's going LA's way if they do end up tied. Yeah, the Padres have got to be saying to themselves, like, we have to find a way to get this turned around against the Dodgers because there's a good chance that they could see them again in October. They caught themselves. Well, they play one more against the Giants. They've taken 2 of the first 3. Maybe for them, law of averages or just getting some of those bad games out of their system. But you cannot let LA come in and take another series in San Diego like they did earlier this year.
Yeah. And then wrapping it up, Athletics, Mariners. I mean, the Athletics play a little spoiler here and just keep punishing us for maybe having the possibility of believing in these stupid Mariners.
Right. A's are up 6-1 as we speak on the Twins with a chance to sweep, although looks like the Twins are getting back into it. Regardless, we know the A's have got a lot of young talent that they're gonna shell out over the next few years here. But the Mariners, this is so predictable, right? They were playing so well. They've now lost 5 in a row. The East Coast trip did not go well for them at all. They went 2-7 on that trip through Baltimore, New York, and Philadelphia. So this is the same old thing. I mean, and the Mariners have had a golden opportunity with Houston going into a slide now, and they have not been able to take advantage. And all of a sudden, they're looking back, and the Royals are in the rearview mirror. So, you have 2 teams. Again, you look at the records, you'd say, oh, yeah, well, the Mariners should win this. And then you're like, well, wait, these are 2 teams going in opposite directions right now.
Yeah. Go A's. Love the A's. Always want to root for the A's.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Once again, we will be doing our full NFL preview in a couple weeks. I have to get onto my fantasy stuff. I got to get on my fantasy draft. I am the commissioner for my work league and my personal league. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be very interesting. And I haven't done any prep. So first draft is this Sunday for myself. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I might as well just say it. But again, full NFL preview in a couple weeks. We're going to be releasing our revised schedule as well that same day, or maybe the day before, one or the other. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Draft America. Go check out Spring Hill Sports Cards. And we will see you next week.